Good day and welcome to a new video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe! Welcome today joined by me, Daniel. And yeah, we're here today painting part of my page 5. If you see that I've actually titled this final page 5 in.psd. And you know, it takes a few files for me to actually finish it sometimes. Sometimes I can just paint it all in one file, you never know. But you know, this week I've got a topic that I'm talking about, and it's taking your time to make your art stand out. Or you know, I was going to use better, but I was like, well, that's a bit kind of not a good word, I guess. You know, like to making your art better, where I could making your art stand out, seems a little bit better to a little bit of a kind of nicer title for it. So that's what I did. I decided to do that. And yeah, here I'm painting the last parts of page 5. This I decided to make a 3-part video kind of a thing. So, in the first part, I think I had an artist in the first part. Then I had the second part, which was just me talking, making an effective plan to get more done. That was last week. And this week, it's me again, and I'm talking about, taking your time and making your art stand out. And yeah, page 5, I've come quite far in this. I've done it 2 or 3 times around. I'm definitely not rushing through this book at the moment. I'm just, taking my time, really kind of get the illustrations right. Obviously, I have some sort of deadline. I don't want to be kind of spending my whole life on it, and I don't want to be also being like, I don't feel inspired, therefore I shouldn't, create anything or keep painting anything or keep working at it because I don't really feel inspired to do it. So, there's that too. You don't want to be too kind of placent with not doing anything and, taking so much time, you're not even working on it. Um, when I say, taking your time, I mean like, actually doing it and, processing it. It doesn't mean you have to be slow at doing it. Just, not rushing it, being everywhere about working, having a kind of um, patient approach, I guess. That would be the easiest way to describe it, having a patient approach. Is kind of really important. You can, go full force and go really speedily and do things, which is fine for some painting and some kind of you know, art in general. Like concept art. You can get that done really kind of fast and get a kind of a good idea out there very quickly, and you don't have to kind of polish it too much. You know, those kind of things, and designing, you can kind of quickly put a design together or something like that. You don't have to spend all your time making polishing it off. But to really, make it stand out and make it look good, and really make a strong message with the artwork or with the illustration, or the story illustration, or whatever you're doing, making it stand out against the crowd. You really got to take your time and um, polish some of these things off, like um, you know, trying to make it so that for instance, in this painting, the cat is really looking like he's running in motion, because before, when I picked up this piece again, um, the first thing, I noticed, because it's, I had painted this before, and I, edit it a little bit, and now this is the third time around going over top of it and putting some tweaks and things. And the first thing, yeah, I noticed that was kind of wrong is the posing of the cat. The cat didn't really look like he was running that well. Um, that it was kind of, I really want to show a scene that it's kind of a moment in time. And that's what I want to use in my story. It looks like a moment in time. Um, it doesn't look like, he's vaguely posed there, and I'm trying to kind of put together a story. You can tell what's happening in the scene. Um, he doesn't look too off-putting that you have to kind of figure out what's happening too much without having the text. Says I do like the image to tell most of the story. That's the way I kind of um do the do my books at the moment. It is I like my imagery to tell most of the story. Um, Obviously it can't tell all the story, but it can tell, the image, the illustration, can tell pretty much most of the story without any text, and that's what I find really important. And in any kind of art or illustration, it should be able to tell a story in a way, um, without having a lot of explaining to do with it. There is obviously some room for kind of maneuvering around that because there is quite a few, artwork per se and those kind of things that you they're painted and things in such a way that you do need someone to explain what they mean and the story behind them and all that stuff. But in the general kind of illustration and kind of concept art world, or um, general media world, movies, games, books, stories, and things like that, you really want, your artwork, your illustrations to, really show that story. And taking your time getting those things right, in the early steps, um, the early steps is really where most of the hard work is. If you kind of break things down into chunks, um, for instance, the initial idea sketch, um, and then the next chunk would be the kind of general kind of um, would say rendering, black and white, general kind of black and white tones and working things out how things will work that way, tonal wise, and that the next step is putting kind of the colors in, and then next is rendering, making those chunks and how you work, and you're breaking up those chunks and taking your time and making sure the first lot of things that you do on it, the initial sketch, the initial idea, you want to make sure in those two stages, getting the initial idea and then turning that initial idea to the final drawing or the final underpainting, or however you're going to do it. Some have underpainting, some have kind of full blown like ink drawing, sketch painting things, um, or some are more painterly, it's you just painted kind of a sketch in a way, and then you've got to kind of go from there. But making sure those two steps that you do, however you do them, making though you take your time on those two steps and getting them right is really important. Because if you stuff up on those two things, then when you get further and further down the track of painting it, coloring it, rendering it, and doing all this stuff, you can start to see some of these things that come on, like if with your initial sketch, say the posing wasn't right with your initial sketch, or the anatomy wasn't right, um, you're gonna get to a final render and it's gonna seem something's off about it, and you've done all this work, you're gonna notice it, and there's kind of really it's easier to kind of start again. In a way, you can do all you want trying to fix it up and things like that, but sometimes that can take more work than effort. Um, I've done that with some paintings I've had, or some poses that I've fixed up and things like that. I've kind of painted and tried to get it better, and was really struggling with it, and decided that, I think it was Henry at one stage. I mentioned in one of my videos, a long time ago, so I'll mention again, it was a Henry, his pose was really wrong. Painted it, I kept on painting it, thinking I could fix it. And then, one day I was like, no, I've got to scrap this. This pose isn't working. I've either, I've stuffed it up, or did something wrong with it. Excuse me. Or did something wrong with it. So I decided to kind of take some time out. I basically decided I was at work and doing some doodles, and decided to try and see if I can draw it better. So, did a few attempts of drawing it. Eventually got to kind of a sketch in my sketchbook that really showed that pose I was going for perfectly, better than my actual painting of it. So I decided to use that, overlay it, per se, but, cutting it and putting it into my painting, and then painting over that and using that to help me fix it. And sometimes it does take a little bit of that, taking out it all together and starting again. That can be easier than trying to kind of make a bad image look better. It's not going to work. So sometimes, yeah, it's just taking some time to do those initial sketches, and taking your time. And it's the same with, rendering and thinking about things, painting, for instance, like the grass. If I just take my time, just um, rather than, jotting into it, doing all this grass, creating all these strokes, and then I didn't really need them, I just kind of making strokes. If I think about it and take my time on it, and just kind of render what I need to, and paint what I need to, it goes much better. And it's not so much time wasted. I can actually kind of get it looking pretty good. Um, and I see advanced artists, and I think that's what they have. They have that whole effortless routine down. It looks really effortless, in a way that they just paint, and they can, render grass really good, or whatever they do well, like create create a human drawing, um, a figure study, a figure painting, or a full-blown illustration within a certain period of time, and it just looks really effortlessly, and that's what they do well. It's because they do take their time in doing it. They're not rushed off their feet doing it. Sometimes it might take a bit of that rushing off your feet, trying to get it done, and then trying to, get it done before the deadline, or get things painted, and yeah, those things. But, eventually you learn that, yeah, it does take, if you just take your time and get it done, you can get it done, what you need to done. in as much time as you need, really. You don't need to have excessive times, like, you know, um, say a couple of months on one piece or something like that. You just need to um, slowly kind of just do it. Just keep going. Um, and yeah, just take your time on it. It takes a while to learn, but yeah. Um, yeah. So thanks everyone who has joined me so far. I really do appreciate it. Whether you've watched kind of a couple of minutes or you watched 5 minutes, you've probably watched 15 minutes if you're listening to me right now. Um, but yeah, you can check me out on Twitch or on YouTube. Um, yeah, and links usually are down in descriptions for things, but on my YouTube channel, I do have links to all my other things that I have, like my Instagram, uh, I think ArtStation and ArtStation and um, DeviantArt's on there, as far as I know. It is where my artwork's at, you know. Yeah, so go check those out if you really want to see what I do and see what I create. Yeah. So yeah, I'm working on my book at the moment, and obviously it has taken me quite a bit of time. I thought I would have been finished by now, um, but I think, having only a couple of hours or so, every night, and just also I did a little detour. I did a few um paintings as well that uh, went in my book, just off paintings that I decided I need a break from this and decided to paint some other stuff. Um, and just in general, things that I didn't think would take so long, I guess. And also the other thing is leveling up for me, or getting better at art, Um, when I kind of get to a certain point, I think it's finished, and then now I've gone back and looked at it and been like, no, this is not finished. Just getting to a higher level where it's like, no, I can do this better. There's more I can add here. There's more that I can fix up. I think back probably a year or two ago, um, kind of touching at something or painting over something, it felt like, um, I was just kind of putting dirt on it. But now it feels a little better. If I do paint over it, usually I've got something to edit, or I know what's missing, or know a tweak or something that I know what looks off. Yeah, a year ago, I know what I might have known what looks wrong, but I might have not known how to fix it. And now I'm starting to kind of learn a bit more about how to fix these things, how to fix these mistakes, the poses. Um, I'm knowing a bit more about the characters too. Um, what this cat really looks like in this pose. Um, I do have to still compare it to previous pages and things like that to make sure the cat still looks the same character throughout the whole book. The same with Henry, but I know a bit more about him and how he actually looks and how he would look in that pose. And I slowly, learn that over time after doing it over and over again, doing his character. And yeah, one good thing about that, is that, taking your time, doing character sheets. I think it's really good to do character sheets. I remember back in when I was at course, the way I did it to start off with, because I kind of designed my own like courses in a way, like class course, things to do. So, I decided to create the characters first. and in that characters I did a character sheet. With the character sheet, it showed, you know, side view, front view, I think top view as well. Which that whole thing that I created helped me throughout the whole book. In finishing, I think that um was one of the keys that really um made me do it so fast in a way, taking that time just to do those things. I think one thing that could have, if I took a little bit more time doing it, one thing that could have helped me further is doing some poses for each character. Um, I had the general pose for each character, but doing a bit more poses for each character. It would have, it wouldn't have been too challenging because I could have just done sketches for that part, but that would have, expanded a little further. Obviously, this is going back 2 or 3 years, so I was still kind of figuring things out and um, is still growing as an artist, and I still always am. Um, but yeah, that would have made things go a little bit further, and that is just, if I took a little bit more time, if I uh just had a little bit more time and spent a little bit more time on that kind of early idea stuff for that project, it would have made the next year, much better with getting that book done. Obviously, eventually, finish that book. With the quality of the illustrations, though, um, looking back at them, they look alright for what what level I was at back then. But looking at them kind of in a way that, how I've grown, it's like, yeah, they are, they aren't too shabby. I still have to edit them one day. I'm looking at repainting them. It's possibly when I kind of finish this book, um, just for a few weeks or a few days or so or whatever, well, probably a few weeks. I'll start with editing that book slowly, just painting over top of that, because that's an easy thing for me to just go into and paint over. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to scramble of ideas of what I'm doing next, kind of a thing, and get anything together. So that's what I'll probably be doing straight after I finish this book is, um, you know, just paint on top of those pages that I've got from my previous book. And that would mean I'd have two books, basically. Um, Obviously two, unpublished books, but I have two books there. Um, yeah. Yeah, and it'll be awesome. And, one's bigger than the other. This is a 14-page book, and I think my previous book was like 30 or something pages. It was crazy, and yeah, it's because, yeah, I wanted to tell a full ass story, really. Um, but now I've done both kind of things. I've told kind of a bigger story with, a lot of, it was more imagery than story in a way. But with this one, I've got I'm telling a story with less imagery in a way. So there's but I still want to tell an interesting story. So I've had some time to kind of explore with that as well, which is great to have those two approaches, um, having a lot of imagery versus having a little less imagery. It's been good to do. It's been fun. But yeah, it does. Yeah, it does chew a lot of time. It does take a lot of time to do these things. There's my YouTube channel, and with that, with my YouTube channel, I've got my weekly tips and I've got these videos, and that does take a bit of time to do. With those, I don't like, for instance, my weekly tips. I don't just want to create a video just, for the sake of creating a video. Um, I want to create a video that is pretty good, and someone actually wants to watch it. There are weeks where, with those weekly tips, they are more challenging than others to get it done and get it created. But I still managed to kind of take my time and just trying to get it done, make sure the drawings are right, and make sure the quality of the audio and the quality of me presenting the audio is alright. And each week I learn from it, whether it's learning from the interaction you guys on YouTube, how many views it's got, how many comments, blah blah, all that stuff, or it's from actually kind of watching the video and taking notes of, what I did kind of wrong, what I did right, how can I look at improving the quality. For me, with this video, I've just kind of played around with the audio again, because, the starting probably of last year, I was still kind of getting fuzzy noises through the audio mic. Then I kind of fixed that by putting a silencer on it. But now that's slowly chewing into my voice is too silent. So now I've added on that a kind of enhancer in a way, so that I'm not too silent. But that noise isn't there, the quality of audio is pretty good, and hopefully that will work. So that's my full video with it. I did my weekly tips with it and it sounded pretty good. So this is my full length 40-ish minute video with it. So yeah, thumbs up if you do like that. I'm hoping it's good. I will probably listen to a little bit of it, like skits here and there, of this video once I'm done with it, to see if the audio is better or worse. If it's worse, I'm going to have to scrap it again and try a little bit of playing around with my audio and audio mic settings and things like that, and see if I can fix it in any way or form. For now. But, just taking your time doing that is what I was saying with, YouTubers out there that might be watching this for any reason. If you're a YouTuber, if I have a little small YouTube artist channel, if any of you guys are interested, just leave a comment down below and I'll forward you the link or whatever for that. For an artist YouTube kind of Facebook page group thing. But yeah, I am a YouTuber as well, per se, meaning I make YouTube videos. It doesn't mean I get paid for them, but I create YouTube videos each week. So that's, to me, as a YouTuber, someone that creates videos for YouTube. Anyone could be a YouTuber in a way. Yeah, I guess I'm not a professional YouTuber because I don't get paid for it, I guess. I could call it that, but yeah, yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, so, taking my time making sure, the quality of the audio / the video is okay, so I'm not just, slamming a video together. When I put together one of these videos, I make sure I've got all the right content together, stringed all together correctly. Make sure, it's going at the right kind of speed, making it 2 parts, 3 parts, whatever it needs to be. I try to do that, but it's sometimes it's hit or miss. It depends on how busy I am. And then once I've exported the video, got it ready for me to talk over. Because these are pre-recorded that I've sped up, pre-recorded videos that I've sped up and then talked over. Um, then before actually talking over them, I fully make sure that the video looks good. Just a glance over it, because I don't have all the time in the world to watch the whole thing. But glance over it, make sure everything's looking good. There's not an odd piece of video. But usually it's pretty good, because if I take my time, check through all the videos that I have put into the video editor that I use to create these, if I check those off that they are all the right content from the right place, then it goes all smoothly, you know. But if I don't take my time and do that, and I just slap together videos, and sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes it pops out of nowhere, because one of my videos might look like something when it's not. I've had that before, and it's like, oh no, I've got a video in here that's not supposed to be in here. I've had that kind of live, and it's been annoying. I've had to take some time out to edit it. It was probably 2 or 3 hours that night to edit it, and it was really annoying to do, but I did it. It cost me some time, and it can cost you if you don't take your time doing it right. After when you get further down the track, yeah, it can cost you time in the end. So yeah, cutting corners and um those kind of things can um make things worse in a way, and make things bad. So getting it done right the first time is kind of important. But however, we all stuff up, whether it's a pose is wrong, or your proportions off, or with my YouTube videos not correct, the audio's wrong, or sometimes it's not our fault. Sometimes the mic's playing up for some reason, or your computer's making this awful sound or something. Computers go bang. It's not always our fault, so you can only do so much as well. So try and, but you gotta factor those in. If that happens, if you're running around um like a headless chicken, you won't solve any issues. It's just kind of taking those to account. If your audio doesn't sound right, is there a way to fix it, or a way to make your ear on a character doesn't look right? How you will fix it? Whether it's you have to repaint the whole face, or you have to cut out the ear and repaint just the ear, or you can just probably fix it up quite easily, or what's going to happen. I think, for instance, with this piece, I think one thing was the splitting edge, to split the two um, images apart. Really, I should have always had a line there, not because I did a painted line and filled that in. I really should have had just a line, a thick line, and just had it there the whole time. That way I could have painted, outside the line if I needed to, and that black line would still be on top, and it wouldn't worry me too much. I wouldn't have to worry about being inside the line, basically. And yeah, it would have saved me a little bit of time. So that's a note that I will make. And you know, if I ever come across this kind of work again, I will be doing, which it happens in my book. So if I do continue working on these pages, that's the technique I use. I'll just make that thick line with a ruler, whatever I need to make, and have it on its top layer so that I can just paint and I wouldn't have to worry too much. It saves me time. I know that it saves me time, so if I do it that way, yeah, just take my time to do that. It helps, you know, a long way. And also, another thing is consciously, um, you know, keeping a track of what you do, and you know why you do things as well. You know why things look better. You're taking your time to solve those puzzles. You know, for instance, here, um, I felt at this stage it kind of looked a little better, and for Henry, and I thought about it because I painted a little bit over top, and it's like, okay, you know, I lost a bit of that, and then it was like I'm missing something. So what did I have before? Um, you know, so I had to go back in this video and actually kind of look and be like, oh, there's some highlights missing. And I was like, oh, that's what was highlights, you know. So taking my time to really think about that and think about what I took away. So I took away something, I didn't know what it was, and then I was like, well, you know, I lost that, I lost those highlights, and then I was like, well, what's missing in my painting now? Oh, highlights, you know, I'm missing that. So taking my time to kind of solve that issue was kind of important for me to make this for to make Henry stand out a little bit better in a way. Yeah. um yeah, that's what I felt was important to do. So yeah, it's always important. Yes. Anyway, um yeah, so I'm slowly getting to the end of my piece here. I think also another thing for me, which made this piece kind of flow a bit better, is when I decided to think about this in two different paintings. So because, you know, you have two different panels, I was tackling it all as a whole, the whole painting, but it would have been easier if I had tackled, you know, one panel and did that fully finished. I did that at the end, but doing it at the start, being like, I'm tackle this part and I'll do this, and then going to the next, you know, the next panel being the next page per se, you know, and tackling that, you know, that would have, it made it seem like it took forever because you know, I could have taken probably a week and I've only done the first panels finished, you know, and then got to the second panel and be like, well, you know, it's taken all this time. But in reality, it actually would have saved me time because I've done one panel fully, where, and then I've only got this panel to go, so I've only got a section to go, and I can just focus on the section. I'm not all over the place, so I think that's another thing too that I've noticed by doing this piece. It's something you learn over time as well, which is really good. Over time you start getting better and better. Sometimes you don't always get faster, you slowly get yourself faster. And it's the thing, you know, just take your time because eventually speed will come. You know, you don't need to create 20 paintings in a day to be a good artist, you know. You can just create one really good painting. And eventually you can get to that stage of slowly, you know, once you've done, get to a stage of doing one painting really good, eventually you get to a stage of doing two paintings really good. But there's only so far you can push yourself with that too. But eventually you'll get there and slowly push, and sometimes you might get yourself to 2.5 paintings a day. Um, but yeah, it's all in, if you take your time learning as well, you can do that. If you really take your time learning, you can really chew it up and know what you're talking about, know what you're painting and how to paint it and how to approach it, that you can do a painting and get it done um, very quickly, you know, without stressing out, without, I've seen that. I mean, you know, I got amazed by it by watching this Ratchet and Clank artist, um, something Beer. He's on YouTube. I fully can't remember his YouTube channel or his name. But he blew me away that he did a really good painting in 3 hours. Obviously he had done some previous work to that. He had kind of drawn it and rendered it in a, well, not rendered it, but painted it in a concept art kind of way. But it looked really good, after he took that and did his final concept drawing of it, um, painting, final illustration of it. But yeah, it's really good to see. So hopefully that's been really good advice for you guys to take your time, learn as much as you can. Don't rush through paintings,. Try and absorb. I feel like if you rush through drawing as much as you can draw, you don't take anything in. But if you take your time just studying um, a painting or drawing a few times, you can really take it in and understand, how to draw that thing or how to paint a certain way. And it can be really, really good. So just taking your time out to get things done, even if you've got deadlines, I feel it can save you time in a way. It can get you to more advanced level. So hopefully that's been good advice. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you're interested in that Facebook group. Keep drawing, everyone. Keep creating. This has been me chatting about taking your time to make your art stand out while I've been painting page 5. So yeah, keep drawing, everyone, keep creating, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.